Xi Jinping, we shall call him XJ for short, is arguably the most powerful man in the world currently and has been so for many years, and his decisions are having the most profound impact the world over. Yet there are very few analyses of his horoscope. The reason is most likely that although his date of birth is known, his time of birth is not. Yet one would have expected some birth time rectification analysis by some of the very prominent Jyotishis. I have certainly not found any. The purpose of this video is to provide such a birth time rectification analysis using Jyothish principles. Understanding the arguments presented here will require at least an elementary knowledge of Jyothish. As a starting point, we will use the most commonly used lagna or ascendant rasis. These are Cancer and Leo. In my opinion, these cannot be correct. Why am I saying this? The 12 possible ascendant rasis can be divided into two categories, the ones shaded green and the ones shaded blue. For the green shaded lagnas, the functional benefics are Sun, Moon, Mars and Jupiter, and the functional malefics are Saturn, Mercury, Venus. It is the other way around for the green shaded lagnas, for whose the functional benefits are Saturn, Mercury, Venus, and the functional malefics are Sun, Moon, Mars, and Jupiter. Generally speaking, although you really have to take into account many other criteria before coming to conclusions, the Vimshottara Dasa periods pertaining to the functional benefic grahas should be favorable, and those pertaining to the functional malefics unfavorable. Rahu and Ketu periods are highly subject to position and relationship with other grahas. The 120-year cycle of the Vimshottari Dasa periods are represented here by the donut at the top right. With the sequence of the Dasa periods running clockwise, the point where one starts this Dasa clock at birth is determined by the ruler of the moon's nakshatra at the time of birth. For the whole of the day of June 15th, 1953, the birth date of XJ, the moon was in Pushya nakshatra, which is ruled by Saturn. So it is certain that XJ started his Vimshottari Dasa during the Saturn Mahadasa. So this means that he started somewhere here and that most of his life has been spent during the blue periods. To get to where he is today, most of his life must have been in highly favorable periods. Otherwise he would not be where he is currently. Saturn in particular is extremely strong in his horoscope, as we will find out when we analyze his horoscope in detail in the next video. Having an extremely strong functional benefic ruling at the time of his birth makes absolute sense, since he was born with a silver spoon into one of the most powerful families in China. His father was very close to Mao Zedong and rose to the position of vice chairman of the Communist Party, practically the second in command in Mao's regime. His birth and subsequent rise to the top could only have happened if the blue Dasa periods related to functional benefics. This means that his lagna or descendant must be in the blue rasis. Therefore, it is unlikely that either Cancer or Leo can be XJ's lagna. The next step is to try and see if the blue Gemini lagna works out. Let us look at XJ's horoscope using Gemini lagna and see if this makes sense using what we know about him and his past life so far. First, we see that Sun, Mercury and Mars are together in his lagna. Mercury owns the lagna, and being in his own house makes him strong and comfortable. The lagna lord being in his own house already elevates any horoscope to a high level. Sun, Mercury and Mars indicate the qualities of authority, intelligence and energy, all of which he had in abundance. So the first house checks. In many cases where the Rahu-Ketu axis falls on the 2nd to 8th houses, you find that the first marriage often ends in divorce or death. XJ's first marriage only lasted about 3 years, so the second house also checks. The 4th house contains Saturn. As said earlier and will be explained in the next video, Saturn is an extremely powerful planet in this horoscope. The 4th house represents home and home country. Powerfully benefic Saturn gave him a powerful home at the time of his birth during the Saturn period. Saturn being placed here also shows the extreme discipline and hard work he has put in for his own country. The fourth house also gets the beneficial fifth house aspect of Jupiter, so the fourth house also checks. The fifth house represents politics and is getting the aspect of a powerful and beneficial Venus, who is looking into his own Mula Trikona house. He has obviously done well politically, so the fifth house also checks. Let's check the important seventh house now. The seventh house represents the marriage partner, as well as business partners and opposition. XJ's seventh house does not contain any grahas, but gets the aspect of 3 planets in the Lagna and therefore absorbs some of the qualities of authority, intelligence, and energy. The seventh house lord, Jupiter, is in the 12th house. The 12th house represents foreign lands and endings. This is probably why his first wife was the daughter of the UK ambassador, and the first marriage did not last long. Note that there is a strong Kuja dosha as Mars aspects both 7th and 8th house, another strong reason for the first marriage breakup. His second wife certainly reflects the quality of Sun, Mercury, and Mars that aspect the 7th house. More will be seen about his long-term wife from analyzing his D9 or Navamsha. So the 7th house also checks. Rahu sits alone in the 8th house. It expands greatly the qualities of the 8th house, which has to do with sudden metamorphic changes. XJ has certainly had some dramatic changes in his life, so the 8th house also checks. The all-important 9th house. We know the owner Saturn is a very strong and powerful benefic. The 9th house stands for father and higher education, both of which has been strong in XJ's life. It also stands for religion and philosophy. For XJ, the ideals of communism has taken the place of a traditional religion. Like Mao's Red Book, XJ's thoughts is compulsory read in China. For XJ, fanaticism is to his communistic ideals is like fanaticism that many religious people have. So the 9th house also ticks. The owner of the important 10th house of career is Jupiter. So, it is placed in the 12th house. At first, this seems like a negative placement. Further analysis will tell you that it is in Moon's nakshatra and Moon is strong in his own house. Also, Jupiter is both Virgotama and in Pushkara Navamsha, making it very strong and auspicious. Even more importantly, it is conjunct the fixed star Aldebaran within 1 degree of orb and directly opposite Antares. Both of these stars represent power, authority, and strategy of the highest order. In addition, a powerful Saturn, the planet of discipline and hard work, aspects this house. No wonder he's gotten to where he has, so the 10th house checks beautifully. The 11th house is the house of desires, dreams, and aspirations. Beneficial Venus sits there. It is in its own house, a nakshatra, Bharani, making it strong. Venus is also the owner of the 5th house of politics. Much of his desires and aspirations have been fulfilled, and they have been mostly related to politics. So the 11th house also checks. So there are strong indications that Gemini is likely to be his Lagna. But each Lagna spans a period of 2 hours, and we need to pinpoint his birth time a little bit more accurately. We will do this by examining the D9 Navamsha chart and the D10 Dashamsha chart. With a Gemini Lagna, the Navamsha Lagna can never be Cancer, Leo, or Virgo. The D9 is one of the best indicators of the qualities of his long-term wife. What do we know about his current wife, to whom he has been married for more than 33 years? She is known for her beauty and has been an extremely popular singer with a popular voice. In fact, for most of their marriage, she has been more popular than XJC throughout China. These are all Venusian qualities. In his D9, Venus is in Leo and directly aspects Aquarius. Therefore, it makes sense that the Navamsha Lagna is Aquarius. With a Gemini Lagna and an Aquarius D9 Lagna, The D10 Dasamsa Lagna can only be either Libra or Scorpio. Mathematically, it's impossible for it to be anything else. Scorpio makes much more sense. The Lagna Lord Mars is powerfully placed in the 10th house in Leo, the house of politics, power and authority. It is also conjunct the natural benefic Venus and aspected directly by a powerful Saturn sitting in the 4th house of home country affairs. Both Saturn and Mars aspect the Lagna. Scorpio also represents many hidden things, as does the 8th house, where the Sun sits. The Sun is the Lord of the 10th house in D10. There are 4 planets in the 8th house of D10, underlying the huge influence of the 8th house. No wonder that the regime that XJ heads is anything but open on most things. There is a time span of about 8 minutes that can accommodate all 3 conditions above. That is D1 Lagna Gemini, D9 Lagna Aquarius, and D10 Lagna Scorpio. 6 a.m. falls within this time frame, and we shall take this as the birth time. For much of the analysis that will follow in the next video, this is accurate enough. Is Gemini the only possible Lagna? No. Virgo, Libra, and Taurus also have possibilities, but Gemini seems to provide the best fit. The next video will discuss the most salient points in his horoscope and how they have shaped the past events of his life. The third video will analyze what the future holds in store for XJ, which is probably the most important reason for all of us having an interest in XJ's horoscope. Thank you.